Imagine waking up in a pitch-black forest 200,000 years ago. The air is freezing and the only sound you hear is the snapping of a twig nearby. You have no clothes, no weapons, and no shelter. Suddenly two glowing eyes emerge from the shadows. It is a saber-toothed tiger looking for its next meal. This wasn't a movie. This was the daily reality for your ancestors, where the line between life and death was thinner than a blade of grass. But how did a physically weak creature, like a human, manage to survive and eventually rule this planet? It all began when we conquered our greatest fear and harnessed the power of fire. Fire wasn't just light. It was our first true weapon. That kept predators away and allowed our brains to grow by cooking food. But the ultimate test came when the world turned into a giant ice cube during the Great Ice Age. With temperatures dropping to -100 degrees. Humans had to migrate thousands of miles across frozen lands. They hunted the massive woolly mammoth and used its thick skin as the world's first winter gear. Hunting the mammoth was just the beginning. Because the real challenge started when these humans left the scorching plains of East Africa and entered the bone-chilling cold of Siberia and Europe, where even breathing was a struggle. And they faced their biggest rivals, the Neanderthals, who were physically much stronger and broader than us. But our ancestors had one tiny thing that they didn't have, and that was the needle, which allowed them to sew animal skins so tightly that the freezing wind could not enter, while Neanderthals only draped the skins over themselves and died from the cold. These humans did not stop. Instead, they traveled thousands of miles on foot, crossing the Siberian land bridge, to step onto the land of America for the very first time, where there were no hotels and no maps along the way, and their entire day was spent only on hunting and planning, where they had invented complex warning calls to communicate, so they could become the most dangerous predators on Earth together. They took shelter in the deepest parts of caves, where they used crushed stones to make colors, and painted the stories of their victories on the walls. They learned that if one was sick, the others would save them, and it was this social bond that allowed them to defeat every animal that was 10 times larger than them in size. They even befriended wild wolves, and turned them into dogs, so they could guard them at night, and thus fighting death, cutting through the ice and crossing the oceans. This weak-looking stick figure spread to every corner of the world, and took control of everything that stood in its way.